Welcome to a Fred Pope podcast.
Let's go.
We are here to not over tacos, but we're going to talk about a taco.
Yes.
Our least favorite taco, Donald J. Trump, because Trump always chickens out. And this week, apparently, he's afraid of math.
He is chickening out on basic arithmetic. We should do this over tacos one day, though. We should all each bring. What are you drinking?
I am drinking Coca-Cola, sugar-free, zero caffeine. So zero caffeine-free.
Not with real cane sugar like Trump wants you to drink?
No. I chicken out at cane sugar. So,
Good for you.
like, it's like, hey, what beverage would you like? I would like a Coke without sugar and without caffeine. So I chicken out of all the good stuff. That's my taco.
So let's talk about how Trump is tacoing out over math, because basic math is something that is really indisputable, right? Like 2 + 2 is 4. You just don't debate it. It's just, there's certain things in life that are just empirical data. And
That's not true, Julie. It could be rigged. The numbers don't add up. 2 + 2 = 5 when it comes to Trump. I get an extra 1 because they call it the Trump bonus. That's what that is. I think I did a little Dr. Evil there.
That's very good.
When I said bonus, I went a little Mike Myers, Dr. Evil there.
But I have to say, there's so much to unpack just in the last 24 to 48 hours. So first of all, he gets rid of people who don't like math, or he doesn't know math, who actually like math. For anybody who's even remotely inclined to talk about why numbers get revised, it is because it is very hard for people to return their questionnaires about their hiring practices and their data. And what that typically means is that sometimes you have to chase them, but sometimes those responses are delayed in coming back despite the deadline, because you don't have to do it. You just do it because you're a good citizen. And so that's why these numbers have consistently been revised, and why they've dropped so much over the last couple of months is because of the fact that the tariffs went into effect. So people aren't really making hiring decisions because they don't know what to expect. Because again, Trump always tacos out. So do you make a hiring decision where you're going to hire people based on the fact that you think he's going to taco out on tariffs and you think it's going to be business as usual? Do you not hire people because consumers are going to be buying less because of tacos, because he's not going to taco out? Hard to say, hard to make hiring decisions, so you just don't. And
Good.
Well, all I was going to say is that's the reason why there's such drastic revisions.
Let me ask you this, because I'll get your take on this, because I think this is a typical sort of Trump play where he cooks the books because he knows the numbers are going to be released at the first of the month. They're going to read them, and then they revise down as part of that strategy when nobody's really paying attention. But you bring up a good point, because people fill out their questionnaires, they're coming in. Where these numbers are going down so drastically, do you think that might be a sign as we're moving through the month, because his tariffs and his economic policies are so bad that we're literally seeing drops week by week? Or do you think he's cooking the books?
I don't think he's cooking the books yet. I just want to be clear. It's very hard to cook these books until you put people in there to cook them for you, right? Right now, first of all, there are so many layoffs, including at the Labor Department, including at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which are the people who produce these numbers, that it's very hard for these people. They're basically doing 2 to 3 times as much work as they typically do, because so many of them have been laid off. It's just a skeleton staff who's now doing it. So part of the reason why this is probably revised so much is because people are not able to get it done in time as accurately as they had before. Although we've always had revisions. We've always had revisions. But I think the other reason it's dropping so much is because, as I said before, things change by the day. His economic policy change by the day. I'm just thinking, if I were importing, I don't know, Barbie from Asia, whichever country in Asia Barbie's made, right? And I'm thinking, I've got to do this now because I've got to get ready for Christmas, the holiday season. So you don't just get the stuff to show up at the docks in the port of Seattle or the port of, or Los Angeles
Right.
in November, December. You got to get it done now, if not earlier, so that it gets packaged, it gets sent to the stores, it gets shipped out. I mean, all of this stuff, right? So now is the time. Same with back to school stuff. It's not that it shows up on your shelves in late August. It shows up in your shelves early, or not on our shelves, but it gets sent here from wherever the stuff is made abroad here. And so if I'm ordering toys for Christmas, if I'm I don't know, whatever, some toy store is ordering toys for Christmas, or even at Mattel, I'm ordering toys for Christmas. Do I know how many to get? Do I know how many people I need to do that? Do I know how many dock workers I need if I'm a shipping company? Because
Right.
I don't know how many ships are going to be coming in. A
Right.
couple of months ago, there were right after he announced, these tariffs were going into effect, there were no ships coming into the port of
Oh,
Los Angeles.
April was horrible for
Brutal.
Los Angeles.
Yeah. And
Brutal.
so you're talking about truck drivers, you're talking about dock workers, you're talking about the people who work in stores, you're talking about the people who package this stuff. I mean, the supply chain is tremendous. And
Mhm.
all of this uncertainty is what's leading to these job numbers being awful. And
Mhm.
that's just a fact. I mean, that any economist, I'm not an economist, but I did take Econ 101 and I did take Econ 102, right? And you don't
Yeah.
need to do much more than that to understand how supply and demand works.
Right.
Something costs more, chances are people are going to buy less of it, which
Mhm.
means that less of it is going to be produced, which means that the people making it or selling it or distributing it are not going to be hired to the
Right.
extent that they were before. It's just a fact of life. I mean, for a guy who prides himself on graduating from Wharton, which he did, and he graduated from Penn and took classes at Wharton. But for a guy who prides himself on having this economics, genius degree, what's not to understand? And the part that kills me is it's like an emperor has no clothes mentality, where Scott Bessent gets it, right? Like the Secretary of the Treasury gets it, the Secretary of Labor gets it, the Secretary of Commerce gets it. Everybody gets it. Even
Mhm.
he probably gets it. I mean, I don't know how we'll get to what he said today, which makes me wonder whether he actually gets anything anymore. But it's Taco Tuesday for a reason because this is happening because he tacos out and people don't know if he's going to taco out. Look, he said a couple weeks ago, August 1, it's my absolutely drop dead date. August 1 is when these no more negotiations. And then, of course, except that right before August 1, he says, oh, wait, I'm going to push it to August 7th now. Well, August 7th is the day after tomorrow. It's Thursday. So is he going to taco out again? You can't make plans if you're a business based on this. So you're not going to hire people. Why would I hire you if I'm only going to have to lay you off 5 minutes later?
And every foreign country that when they hear this is my absolute drop dead line, they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
we'll see." Yeah, and it's first of all, I got to give you props on that massive little bit of shade you threw in there. It's like he graduated from Wharton. He went to Penn. And he took classes at Wharton. It's like,
I mean,
oh my god,
listen,
I love that. It was so mean girl kind of
listen,
snotty.
it's not snotty because I would have loved to. I never applied to go to Penn, but Penn's a great school. It's not like I'm
It
doing.
is a great school, but I
I'm
love
not.
how it was just like, let's get one thing clear.
You know what? I have a lot of friends who actually went to Wharton Business School, and
Right,
they're so appalled that he actually invokes their name. I mean, it's bad enough for Penn, which is a great school, to be
right.
affiliated with him in any way, with his children in any way. But look, he's losing it in crazy ways. Did you see what he said on CNBC today?
I have not seen anything of what he said today.
Saying,
Yeah,
let me
I
let
was
me get
out
my
running around.
yeah, let me get my trusty glasses here because I got to.
There we go.
I'm gonna move this. All right. So he said, where is this? I don't actually have it. I think it's on my phone. But he said something along the lines of, we need Latinos to do the backbreaking farm work because they don't, if they get bad backs, they die. So they're really conditioned to have good backs because it's not like they have a bad back.
So what?
Wait, it gets better. Unlike people in the inner cities, translation, Black people,
Ooh,
who are not good farm workers, they don't want to do it. let's unpack that for a second. Let's start with the second part first. Black people who built this country through backbreaking labor, involuntary, I might add, who were enslaved, he's actually demeaning their contribution to the building of this country, to farm work. That's one. Two, let's get to so that's one. Two, is he fucking kidding me? Like, he's like, the racism is so off the charts.
There was it's funny because he's from such another time and place in the sense of I like you might not be familiar with this, but there used to be a sports analyst. He was sort of like a gambler, right? Went back in the day. It was just a handicapper. His name was Jimmy the Greek. Like you might remember the name.
Yeah, I remember Jimmy. I remember the name. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, Jimmy the Greek. And so Jimmy, how he got in trouble and lost his career is besides Rush Limbaugh, he was the first guy that said, well, black people don't make good quarterbacks because they can't think as fast as white quarterbacks, but they have this extra muscle in their calves and in their legs and their hamstrings and their quads from slavery days when they had to carry all that, the heavy cotton bales and everything else out in the field, and that passed down to their ancestors. Thus, they make good running backs, they make good cornerbacks, but they don't make good quarterbacks, which if you watch the NFL nowadays, most of the quarterbacks are black.
Yeah.
Right? And so it has nothing to do with that, right? And but it's that kind of a comment where it's this pseudoscience that's not even pseudoscience, it's just racism. Well, Hispanics' backs are stronger than, other people's for farm labor. It's like, what?
But you know what's crazy? But you know what's crazy to me? Like you and I are talking about this. Why isn't this on the front page of every single newspaper? Why is this not breaking news? Why is this not seeping through? Like, why is
Because
this
he
out of?
says this so much.
I
and
know,
it's,
but
you
but
know,
this whole like reward for being consistently nuts is that you have somebody saying the most racist, awful stuff. I mean, truly the most disgusting, racist, horrific nonsense. And whoever makes these decisions, these editors who make these decisions, just shrug and they're like, oh,
because
eh,
Jimmy the Greek got fired for this, right? He
yeah,
wasn't allowed on television to do color commentary anymore. The same thing happened with Rush Limbaugh. Is like, because a lot of people forget, like, there was a time that Rush Limbaugh was a color commentator in the NFL before he became, he had the golden phallus microphone and all that. Like, so this is before that, right? When he was just kind of starting in that, and he would give color commentary. And he said, and I think it was against Donovan McNabb of the Philadelphia Eagles. And he said something like super racist, pretty much along the same lines Jimmy the Greek said. Well, he doesn't think as fast as a white quarterback. And they were like, "Ow." And, now he went on to be horrible. And, like he didn't go to Epstein Island, he went to the Dominican Republic. So, for his little
yeah,
escapades. But I digress. It's with Trump, it's because but you're right. It's like, this is the kind of thing that should be, no, this is wrong, right? It's, you're, this is, no, it's wrong, because, I mean, heck, man, Shannon Sharp's brother, Sterling Sharp, just got in to the Hall of Fame. Both Shannon and Sterling worked on a farm with their grandmother. He's just done, they sat down, did an interview with his brother on his Club Shay Shay. And Sterling talks about picking tobacco. He talks about the farm work that he did when he was a younger man. His thing is like, oh, football wouldn't work. He's like, out in the fields, that's work, right? Football is not. And here's the thing. I grew up in I spent a good chunk of my time in East Tennessee, right? I did not live on a farm, but I did farm work to get extra money, right? We had one of the teachers that had had a tobacco field. And he'd like, okay, you come before school at like 4 a.m., work for a few hours, I'll pay you $20. All right. And we hung up tobacco. It was cut. You bundled it up and and you hung it up in the barn to dry, you know? And so that kind of work is easy compared to what the laborers do nowadays when they, hoist the they get paid by the weight. They get so much per hour and then they get paid by the weight. That's real work, right? That is skill work. But it has nothing to do with their ethnicity they were just willing to do that job, right?
Yeah, I think what's so just insane to me is that we living in 2025 are still talking about things that really should have been kind of thrown to the ash heap of history long ago. I mean, this is kind of we're verging on eugenics here, right? Like
Well,
what
we
some
absolutely are.
yeah, what
Yeah.
some people can do, what some people can do based on their ethnicity, based on their race. Uh, Like, and by the way, what's the point here? Because you're deporting all of these farm workers back to the quote unquote shithole countries where they come from. And so, but they're the only ones that could do this work. So, like, what's he even saying there? None of this makes sense. And the reason, I mean, of course, it's not meant to make sense. But the part that I just cannot get over are the pretzels in which all of his people who know better contort themselves, whether it's on tariffs, whether it's on racism, whether it's on these numbers from and why they're being revised and employment numbers. And, I've thought about that. I think it's a Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale. I may be wrong, but it's the remember the emperor has no clothes. Like everybody knows the emperor has no clothes. Everybody knows it. All of the machinations they're going through on Epstein to say, well, Ghislaine Maxwell now to try to make her into a victim. And that's why she had to be moved to this cushy club fed type camp, as opposed to the fact that she was 1000% not qualified to go there, not eligible to go there. The fact that the Bureau of Prisons reports to the Deputy Attorney General, who happens to be drumroll Todd Blanche, who sat with her. The fact that now they're talking about potentially, literally talking about potentially releasing his interview with her. Well, of course they are. They're going to release an interview with her where she's going to say Donald Trump had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
And it was, pick it, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, whoever they want to say was there.
Mhm.
And of course, why else would they have moved her a week after she met with him?
Yeah.
To a place where she wanted to go.
They have to get it to where he can pardon her. They have to they got to
Yeah.
set the framework. They got to,
Yeah.
and going back to the thing about like, why are they
Excuse me.
saying this about
Yeah.
Hispanics? My conspiratorial sort of mind on fascism and authoritarianism is it's a way to further dehumanize them, right? Because you're not going to be able to deport them all. You're not going to be able to send them all to their country, and nor can you, because then you're going to have all these crops rot. You're going to have all this problem. So what do? It's like, well, they're not human beings because, like we're rounding them up, they're criminals or this or that. So that's the otherizing language. But well, what are they naturally bred for? Farm work, right? So of course, when we put them in these camps, well, we're going to take them in and let them earn their, keep by doing the labor for free, right?
It's not, Frederick, it's not conspiratorial because, do you know Curtis Yarwin?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, who's of course the inspiration for Peter Thiel and all and JD Vance and all these other people. He's like their intellectual, lodestar. He's talked openly about the fact that there are people who are elevated like he is, and I guess a lot of his Silicon Valley buddies are, and everybody else should be used, and I quote, for biofuel. I
Mhm.
mean, that's like soiling green as people. I mean, we're talking about a level of insanity that exceeds anything that the Nazis came up with.
Oh, yeah, it's
I mean,
funny how those people are always at the top when they talk
yeah,
about this,
of
right?
course.
They don't apply Rawls' veil of ignorance, in theory of justice. It's never, well, I wouldn't want I could if I don't know where I'm going to end up in society, then I need to make sure it's fair on whatever level it is because I might end up there. No, it's like it's like, well, there's the elites who get all of this perks and then there's everyone else, and then there's this and this. It's like, Well, that sounds great. Where are you going to end up? Oh, well, I'm at the top.
Yes,
Like, I'm the
because
philosopher king. I mean,
it's
Plato did it, right?
no,
You know,
100%. You're absolutely right. The allegory of the cave, great analogy.
yeah.
But Plato did it thousands of
Yeah,
years ago.
and the Republic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, there's people who are gold, and there's people who are silver, and there's people who are bronze, and then the bronze are your craftsmen, and then blah blah blah. It's like you're trying to become a man of gold, and it's like, that's the philosopher king. It's like, wow, you made the people who are ruling you.
Well,
That's hefty.
his philosopher king was Socrates, right? His philosopher king was
Yes.
Aristotle, which is hilarious because, of course, it's the philosopher king is the guy that you look up to. So I guess for these guys, Curtis Yarwin, Peter Thiel, they're the philosopher kings here, and the rest of us are just good for biofuel. But it's all funny until it becomes something that's executed.
Right.
And the reality is we saw it executed within the last century. And
Yeah.
we know words like Untermenschen. We know that Jews were not even considered human and Slavs were subhuman and so on and so forth. There was a hierarchy. And what is so interesting to me is that we have the same thing happening here in the United States at a time when there's no other United States for people to go to. So at least back in the 1930s, the 1940s, especially the 1930s, if you could get out, there was a country you could come to. And yes, this country turned away a lot of people. The St. Louis, a very famous episode of them turning away Jews who had fled Germany, and all of them were sent back to Europe, and a lot of them perished. Certainly what we did to the Japanese with internments was awful. But generally speaking, this country was on the side of right and the side of democracy with a small d. And now, where does one go? Where is that bulwark against
Yeah.
this?
Canada.
I
Like
mean, Canada,
it's becoming Canada.
but it's
You know,
Canada. But I mean, Canada doesn't have the might that the United States does, right? It's not a superpower. And the truth of the matter is, I guess everybody's kind of forgotten that he wants to annex Canada, but I'm sure the Canadians haven't forgotten.
Oh, they haven't forgotten. Oh,
And
trust me.
yeah,
They
and we
haven't
can't,
forgotten.
we can't all move to Canada. And so, I say all of this just to say, like, what the hell?
Well,
If the,
we all could if we got bunk beds. If we get bunk beds, we can make it work. It might be 3 tall.
you know
And
what?
then
It's pretty cold in Canada.
it is.
Although Montreal is a great town. I will live and die by the fact that Montreal is a great town. But
That's actually my escape plan is I'm gonna put myself up as a male or a husband.
you said that. Yes.
I am. I'm gonna like get like for any Canadian women, like I'm just like, hey, like I'm a political asylum, whatever, you know. So
What do they get out of it? Because at least it used to be that they could get a green card to come here, but they don't want to come here. So what do they get out of it? Just the pleasure of
well,
somebody?
here's the thing. They get a lot of fabulous things, right? Because I can do one, okay, I can do dishes by hand and dry them and put them away. 2, I know how to fold a fitted sheet. Uh,
Oh, I don't know how to do
yeah.
that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I can fold a fitted sheet. I can
Okay.
cook. You know, I have witty repartee. I've got the witty repartee going down, and I also know other sort of like other fun things to do, right? I've got parcheesi. We can do that.
How's your French?
Parcheesi.
How's your French? Is your what do you repartee just English or do you have some French? Like, are you writing off Quebec? Or are you just
No, no, no. I like,
no?
it's like basically I will be the most compliant, like Quebec husband I could be. It's like, hey, would you like to do this? I'll just say we, and then that's it. I'll say
Huh.
yes to everything because that's about all I can do.
How's your
You know,
hockey? How's your hockey knowledge?
listen, we can talk football all day.
They don't
That's
want to.
what I'll
They don't
say.
want to. They don't want to talk football. How's your hockey?
Here's what I'll say to him. I'll
You
say
got to study up.
Wayne Gretzky is the best hockey player of all time. And then unless I'm in Boston, then it's Bobby Orr.
Bobby
So
Orr. We're down on Gretzky though, because Gretzky's a MAGA guy.
I know he is. It's like,
Canadian, I think the Canadians are pretty down on Gretzky too as a result of that.
but yeah, if I'm in Boston, it's just like, it's Bobby Orr. He's the best. But I won't say that Canada.
How's and poutine? You got to develop a recipe for poutine and how to cook
Oh, it's
poutine.
fun.
But
Well, here's the thing. It won't be poutine per se. What it, nice. What
it's
it
gonna be the
really,
Eastern Tennessee version of poutine.
yes, it is called
What it?
biscuits and gravy. Right?
Yes.
And it's like,
That-
it's like, I'll put it on a plate. It's like, send it out there, darling, and just tell him it's
Well,
poutine. Just tell him it's poutine. They won't know.
well, if there's any Canadians watching, any single Canadian women, I think you've got me sold. I'm for it.
I'm telling you. And vacuum. And the thing is, because I'm former military, my cleaning skills are bordering on the level of OCD. It's insane. Like, you have the cleanest house you will ever have. It's like,
Oh my God! Wait a second. I might like rent you to be my husband for a couple of days just to
that's
clean
what
up
I'm
all that.
saying is like, it's like, oh my God, he cleaned behind the TV. He cleaned behind
Oh,
the bookshelf. What?
I need somebody to Marie Kondo my house.
Oh, that's me all day.
Oh,
Especially like, oh, former military. It's like, it's like, why are you dusting behind the bookshelf? Well, somebody might see it. If
my God!
inspection comes through, you're gonna dust it.
Honestly,
You know,
I'm completely sold on this.
that's what I'm saying.
I might not want you to go to Canada. I might need you to stop by New York
I'm
and just
telling
like
you,
one day.
baseboards, I got you. All that stuff, right?
Well,
It's good. That house is gonna be immaculate. And sweet tea, sitting on the porch, telling long-winded Tennessee style stories. I got them all. You know, it's like, oh, I'm a master Tennessee storyteller. You
you
know,
know what, ladies? If there's anybody out there in Canada looking for a male or a husband, I think this is a pretty good deal.
I'm
Gotta be
telling you.
honest.
And you can say, I think it's still legal to send children through the post office. I'll just say that I'm, you know, big for my age. You know,
I think you cross the border. I don't think anybody's going to stop you. Not yet. I think you could pull like a Sound of Music. You could walk across the Rockies.
that's it.
I'll- yeah, it'd be great.
I gotta
Okay,
go
well,
find my lederhosen.
you
You
know
know,
what? I was in. So my husband is. This actually concerns me a little bit. My husband loves reading and rereading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, which makes me a little suspicious after a while. Because why is he
oh, the
reading?
William, what? Oh, the William L. Schreier book.
Yeah, he loves that book.
Oh, it's
So
good. It's a great book
it is, but you don't have to keep. I mean, after a while, you're like, why are you rereading this 20 times? But anyway, so
because it's
he.
William L. It's William L. Schreier.
I know. Well, so we went to because he's so into it. We went to Munich and we went to all the sort of we did as I call it the Nazi tour a couple of years ago, and so we drive from Munich to the Eagle's Nest and that whole like in the Bavarian Alps where Hitler had his retreat, and it's right on the border with Austria. And The Sound of Music was actually filmed in the Bavarian Alps, exactly where this all is. And they showed us the mountain where the whole climb every mountain thing. So first of all, let me stress that apparently whoever did The Sound of Music does not know geography because if you cross from Salzburg over the Alps, you
Mm.
end up literally at the Eagle's Nest.
Yeah.
Switzerland is nowhere near Salzburg. So the best part is you're standing at the Eagle's Nest, which is Hitler's literal bunker. They point out to you that this is the mountain where the Von Trapp family in the movie climbed over to get to Switzerland. And you realize that if they actually climbed over that mountain, they would end up at Hitler's front door, which I always thought was absolutely hilarious, which underscores how much Hollywood does not know geography, like basic geography.
Well, you don't have to. It's like, does it look good in the shot? That's what you're really looking for.
I know. Well, in
Did
reality,
you go? Did you go to the Eagle's Nest? Did you check it out?
I
Or
did. I did. It's really cool. Well, it's sort of cool. So I'll say this. It's cool in the sense that like they drilled this massive tunnel in the mountain, which is big enough for a huge armored 1930s Mercedes to go through.
yeah,
And then there's this did you go there? Have you ever been there?
I haven't been there.
Yeah.
I've seen the video tours of it and everything else.
Yeah. So you take this elevator up and you get to the top. But what the Germans have done, which I think is I'm not sure how I feel about this. They so obviously don't want to have any kind of referential Third Reich memorabilia for neo-Nazis to show up to, that they turned the actual Eagle's Nest, the actual top part where you get on top, into like this buffet. It's like this little ski lodge type of place where you like can go get a cup of coffee and it's like a cafeteria almost. And it's really weird. It's really, really strange because you're there but there's no reference to Hitler. There's no, you just happen to be at this place, this beautiful place on top of a mountain that's got, you can buy a little coffee there that happens to have been where Hitler used to hang out, but you don't actually
It's
know
it's
that.
like it's like the plantation homes that, women wanna get married in the South,
Oh,
it's just like, it's such a beautiful home, it's like, "How about that?"
yeah,
But it's like,
exactly. But like, what's so interesting, at least with those plantations, you have like, this is the slave quarters. Like, you at least acknowledge that like bad things happen there.
yeah,
Whereas here, there's no acknowledgement whatsoever. We went to, when we were in Munich, I I had to basically go through like 20 different hoops to locate a tour of all the Nazi sites. And we get to the place where the Nuremberg Treaty, not the Nuremberg Treaty, sorry. We get to the place, yeah, where like all these, every single, the beer hall is gone, like the beer hall push place is gone.
yeah,
But we get to the place, all the different places, there's no reference to them. Some of them are now colleges, some of them are like government buildings,
yep,
no reference whatsoever to anything that took place there. And I asked the tour guide why, and he was like, "Oh, we don't talk about this here. Like, we just want to pretend it doesn't happen." And I'm like, "Okay," because they don't want neo-Nazis showing up trying to kind of create a shrine to all these places. On the one hand, and the other hand, it is history. It's very strange. I thought it was very, very odd.
I like one of the so I had a buddy of mine, he went to the Eagle's Nest, and his grandfather was in the 82nd in World War II, and so
Oh,
and on to honor his grandfather, as they walked through the tunnel, he told me, he's like, "Yeah, I busted out with blood on the risers," you know? So, I was like, "I love that," right? So, if I ever go to the Eagle's Nest, I'm gonna bust out with blood
you
on the
should.
risers,
You should.
you
You
know?
should. Yeah. I mean,
It's
the 82nd was there, but it's a really cool place. It's very beautiful. It's almost so beautiful that you kind of can't believe that kind of evil took place at a place of such great beauty. But then again, I can't believe what's happening in this country, a country of such great beauty and our 249 years of democracy, sometimes good, sometimes to be desired, but nevertheless always going in the right direction until now.
Well, what are you talking about? We're getting our own kind of Eagle's Nest with the ballroom that's gonna be like this gaudy thing hanging off the White House, from and I'm gonna fund it my whole self. It's gonna be me and then probably some Saudi people and Qataris, they're gonna just donate and then I'll take a little bit and then, you
I
know
mean, have you ever been to the White House?
I've not been to the White House, no,
Yeah. So
you
the
know.
White House is, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's gonna sound, it's the White House, but I mean, like, it's this historic place that's, I mean, Truman gutted it and Truman redid it and whatever, but like, so it's not like it's the same White House that existed when John Adams burned, obviously the British burned it. So it's not like the same place that's existed over the centuries, but still, to have the Oval Office, the pictures of the Oval Office that I've seen, I've never been inside the Oval Office, but the pictures of the Oval Office that I've seen of this gaudy bullshit that looks just like Trump Tower. And the fact that like it's not
It's
enough that
terrible.
it's not enough that the next president's gonna come in and tear that down, but you're not gonna tear down this disgusting 2-acre addition.
Yeah, and this is where Tim Miller was talking about
Yeah.
this on the Bulwark recently, and he says he thinks it's like, well, it's an upgrade because Biden didn't have any there. I was like, he doesn't need to have anything in the Oval Office. It's the president of the United States.
What do you need to have?
What does he need? Like best dad coffee mug?
That's
Like
what I
what?
don't get. Like, what do you like? I've literally every office I've ever had, I've never hung up. Like, I've never had anything because my point is, you come to my office to talk to me. Like, you don't need to look at pictures of my family. You don't need to look at my diplomas. You don't need to look at anything. Like, it's me. This is the ultimate "it's me" office. You're there because you're visiting the president of the United States. What else do you need?
What?
What do you need?
It's like, oh well, yeah, he needs some decoration. It's like there's the Resolute disc from the HMS Resolute that was given as a gift by to the United States by Queen Victoria.
Yep.
I What? Like, you don't need it's like, "Well, I don't know, we should go down to Michael's and get some, like, nice frames and stuff, and don't worry, we'll just get the ones that already have, like get one with, like, a dog, and let's hang it up." What?
Yeah. Like,
Like,
what do you, yeah.
you know, if you can, get, like, one of those cute ones that says, Don't talk to me before I've had my coffee. I'd like to hang that up there too. What are we doing here? It's the presidency, right? Of the United States of America. You don't need a gold relief.
And he's building a patio in the like, what is this? Like a country club?
Yes, that's
By the way
exactly what it
by the
is.
way, have you ever been to a country club that's like I mean, like, I'm ashamed to say I actually belong to a country club, but, like, it's not a place that you necessarily think is, like, all class all the time. Like, it's the
No,
same. I don't care if it's Mar-a-Lago or it's, like, the most elite country club on earth, it's the same nonsense, right? You've got your patio, and you've got your ballroom, and you've got your place for weddings, and you've got like, that's not the White House. It's not the White House. Like, what are we doing here? And,
what
like,
you mean? We
how
don't want to
small
rent out the West Wing for spring weddings?
and
You know,
how small is your penis where it's not enough that you're the president, you also need the biggest, most gaudy house on earth to show everybody how important you are. Like, you're the president, dude. Like, you don't need anything else.
right? It would be like having like 4 or 5 bookshelves behind you in your shot. Like start like, oh wait a minute. Never mind. Never mind.
With your big prominent book of the Republic, just in case in the original Greek.
I'd say, oh, I wish I could be
Because I mean, I'm such an intellectual. I have the Republic in the original ancient Greek.
I'm telling you,
Thank
that's
you
what
for
gets the
asking.
ladies where it's like,
Thank
you
you for
like me to
asking.
read Plato's The Republic in the original Greek to you,
Stop.
mademoiselle?
Wait, stop. Do you want me to draw you the cave and show you where the people with the light are doing, where the fires are doing this, where the philosopher king stands?
So I know you have a doctorate in philosophy, but let me explain to you what Plato's really saying.
Exactly.
Did you know that Socrates might not have actually existed and Plato made him up and he was really talking about himself? Oh,
Uh, it's true. That is true.
yeah. I mean,
But
no, yeah,
but the part
but you're right.
but like the part that kills me is like, is the next president gonna blow this whole thing up? Of course not. So the next president is gonna have to live with this ballroom. We're gonna have to live with this gaudy bullshit. Jackie Kennedy's rose garden is gone. We've got the weirdo shrubs or whatever he's planted there. We've got this patio that he's paving over. We've got the disgusting huge flagpole that, the minute that stuff comes down because it is a huge obstruction to this beautiful shot of the White House, all the crazies are going to go and say, oh my God, this is, the jingoism's going to start. He's taking down the flag. He's taking out the flagpole. And like, what is the problem? Like, why can't you just leave it alone? Because he wants to leave his mark on everything, including this White House. And by the way, if there's any evidence that he's planning on staying there for the foreseeable future, well beyond this term, is that he's certainly not. It's not going to be built for another couple of years, which means that it will be built in time for the next term. And he's not building that for somebody else to take over.
No, he's going to put Trump on it. I guarantee he's going to have it. It's going to be called the Trump Ballroom. And it's going to put it in those gaudy, like golden letters, you know, like here's a fun thing. Cause I know you said you got to go
Yeah.
so this is the horrible thing. Cause he's been a public figure for so long. Right. I was watching, Bobby Brown's On Our Own, which was the theme song for Ghostbusters 2. Like I was on my Sirius radio. And I said, I wanted to listen to it when I got home. And so I put on, so it's the 90s Ghostbusters 2, and
Okay.
it's all these celebrities in New York. And in about the 1/3 in, there it is, the shot of Trump Tower. And there's 90s Donald Trump walking outside, looking around. And right after him stopping is Christopher Reeves, not like paralyzed,
Yeah.
riding a bike, riding a 10-speed. And I went, God, like, this is, I was like,
What?
yeah, I
What?
can't watch this video ever
When
again.
did Ghostbusters 2 come out? Because Trump was going through his 4 bankruptcies right in the early 90s.
I think it was around that time. It was like 92. Like it might
Oh,
have,
well, in 92, Donald
it was like
Trump
90, it was like 90, 91, 92, somewhere
so
around there.
91, 92, Trump had just gone bankrupt at the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
He was going through the bankruptcy with the Plaza. He was judging the elite model look of the year
Oh,
competition
there he is.
where he was hanging out with John Casablancas, parentheses, notorious pedophile, where these girls who were showing up to these models who were about 14, 15, not about, they were 14 or 15, were talking about how they were made to dance for Mr. Trump because if they didn't, they feared they would not do well in this modeling contest that he was judging. And it's interesting that despite all of that, he was still such a celebrity, despite the fact that he had been going through this really notorious divorce with Ivana at the time. If you remember, they were fighting over each other. Marlon Maples said it was the best sex he ever had, or she was, I think, said that with a gun to her head. So, I mean, John Barron probably told her to say that, or maybe John Barron called pretending to be Marlon Maples. Uh, but,
It
you
might
know,
have been. She might have been a virgin. And technically, that's true. You
oh,
know.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go out on a limb there and say probably not. But hey, maybe. I don't want to think about that. But but uh but you know, it drives me nuts that he was going through all of this stuff and people still took him seriously because the tabloid culture in this city where I'm sitting right now is so insane that all that matters is how you position yourself and not what's underneath. I mean, he was
Right.
literally hanging out with little girls. He was
Yeah.
telling 14-year-old girls, I think it was in 19 I think it was in 90, 2 14-year-old girls who were part of a Christmas carol group at the plaza while he was still running the plaza. And he walked by them and he asked them how old they were, and they said 14. And he said something like, I'm gonna date you or, old enough to date or something. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, he said,
Right.
"I'll be dating them in a couple years."
He said that about the 10-year-old going up the escalator at Trump Tower. So
Oh God.
there's different stories. Yeah. He said about Ivanka to Howard Stern something along the lines of she was 17. And he said he always promised Ivanka that he would never date anybody younger than she is. But now that she was turning 17, it was becoming much harder to keep that promise.
Mm.
I mean, but hey, of course he's not in the Epstein files. Why would we ever say that?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, what could have ever gave that away or maybe lend credence to that at all? Like, ugh, ugh. Oh man.
I
Yeah.
know. Awful,
Yeah. You
awful,
know,
awful.
and again, it's like virulent racism. And this is what kills me is the thing that we're being asked to accept, right? And normalize pedophilia, virulent racism, idiocy, like just we're being asked to accept all this.
A bad economy, but that's my thing. In service of what? Because people have been accepting of a lot of bad stuff in service of their own interest, right? But in service of what? Because the economy sucks, inflation is up, everything is bad. I mean, empirically speaking, like everything costs more. The price of most things has not gone down. In fact, it's gone up. And in addition to that, he's a virulent racist. He is potentially, and I say potentially, a pedophile. He's certainly, if not a pedophile, he's certainly pedophile adjacent.
Ye-
He just gave a woman who was convicted by a jury of her peers a sweetheart deal on his way to either commuting her sentence or pardoning her. Why? Nobody's answering that question on his side. So what is like, and the only thing I can say is that the people who are still sticking by him are doing it because it triggers us, because they want to
Yeah.
quote unquote own the libs. So
Mhm.
congratulations, you got it. I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Triggered.
I mean, yeah, but eventually when this all, I mean, eventually down the road, it's like, we're going to see you exactly for who you are. And the people that are around him are going to, one day they're going to have to be held account. He's going to be dead and gone, you know? And, they're going to be like, why didn't you say something at the time? I was scared, you
I
know,
don't know. It's not because I'm scared. They're gonna pretend it never happened. And
that,
and let's be very clear. JD Vance is not much better. In fact, I would argue that JD Vance in some ways is worse because
oh, he's worse.
he's fully bought and paid for by, Curtis Yarwin and Peter Thiel and that whole crew. I mean, he's not his own person. So, you know, and yeah, Morgan, you're saying they want the racism and misogyny, maybe, but at the expense of what? Losing their house, losing their car, losing their
Yeah.
job, because all of that's happening. I
I
mean,
mean, Elon Musk has his brand is irrevocably like just trounced. You know, he's lost more money tethering himself to Trump, even dodging these dodging these supposed investigations when all he really had to do is like, yeah, dude, here's some money, make them go away. That's it. That's all I had to do. And it's just like Trump's up for sale. It's like, here you go. Like, I
Yep.
don't have to do Doge. I don't have to do, but it's an ego thing. And so you get to these people who are like, well, you got the ones that are, I'm untouchable, and the ones that are sort of ignoring it as the palace is starting to burn. Like Rome's starting to burn. Nero's pulling out his fiddle, and it's like, oh, this is fine. We're going to be good. We're still around the emperor. Everything's great. It's like,
Well, I'll say this to you, and I've said this before. God bless Joe Biden, wonderful man, great human being. I don't want another president that's going to say, "Oh, I don't want to talk about the former guy. Let's all move on." Like
yep,
I want, speaking of Nuremberg trials, I want trials. And if Trump is going to do a blanket pardon for Pam Bondi and for Stephen Miller and for JD Vance and for every single person that was complicit in all of this, that is his constitutional right to do. I would love to maybe get an amendment to the Constitution to prevent presidents from doing any more pardons, because obviously that's power that's has been misused well before Trump. I mean, we can talk all about how much Clinton pardoned people and other people who should not have been pardoned, but we don't live in a monarchy, so I don't know why we have pardon power in this country. But, you know, these people need to understand eventually they will be held accountable, unless they think we're really on our way to a dictatorship where there's not going to be any of us left to hold them accountable. But, even South Africa ultimately had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
I think for a lot of these people, it's you're close to power and it's day to day. And it's like this cognitive dissonance. It's this almost disassociation from consequences. These people aren't concerned about it. And I think a lot of it is just people get to a place where it's, especially with this insular kind of thing, is like you see this in the military, you see this in law enforcement, you kind of see this in really any community. It's like this sort of like the group think sort of reinforces that you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing what must needs to be done, and people just don't understand it, right? And it's not until you're pulled out of that you go, oh yeah, that was bad, and they may never see it. Like I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell thinks she did anything wrong. You know,
No,
like I
I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell thinks she did anything wrong, because Ghislaine Maxwell grew up with a completely messed up father in a completely messed up situation, and then she replaced one messed up man who she worshipped with another messed up man who she worshipped. I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell knew any different in her life, right? Like if you're an alcoholic and you grow up around if you grow up around alcoholic parents and all you grow up around are people drinking all the time, then that's all that happens. And you don't think anything of it. But I will tell you that these people are not deluded. They must
yeah,
understand and if they're going to go out and indict Barack Obama, which they can't do thanks to the same thing that got Trump off the hook. But if they think they're going to indict Comey and they're going to indict Clapper and they're going to indict whoever else they want, John Brennan, whoever else they want to indict over what they call the Russia hoax, and what I call, as somebody who knows this subject very well, 100% that Russia interfered in this election to help Donald Trump. There is no debating that. And if you don't believe me, you could follow me on Substack. We have a whole series on this. But what if they're going to do that? If we're now at the point where we're indicting sitting members of cabinets, then I would be very, very, very scared if I were these people. Because I
well,
will tell you, the Democratic Party is not moving on. I will not vote for any nominee
nope,
to lead this
we
party
we
who
can't,
says that we need to move on. We can't. For the
we
good of this
can't.
country, to restore democracy, we cannot.
And here's the thing: if you guys don't believe Julie's series with who's your partner again that's doing
Or
this with
Olga
you?
Latman, who actually really knows her stuff. Yeah, Olga Latman.
Yeah. If you guys don't believe them, just go read the Senate report on it, which has Marco Rubio and Ron Johnson. But they said it.
Yep.
Russia helped the Trump campaign. You
Yep.
know, they say, well, I love the parsing they did, which was, well, it wasn't the Trump campaign technically, it was just some advisors. But
Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. We live in a zero, and I have to go after this, but we live in a zero sum world. If the Democrat loses, the Republican wins. If the Republican loses, the Democrat wins. Russia's goal was to defeat Hillary Clinton. Ergo, by transitive property, somebody was going to be helped by that. And that was going to be Donald John Trump.
Yep.
And that's what happened. And that's before we even get to all of his long and sordid history sucking up to Russians going back to the Soviet era, which you could do a whole separate live on. Anyway, I got to run. I got to go yell at some Republicans on CNN tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern,
Do it.
including Scott Jennings. We can have a whole separate discussion about selling your soul to.
Oh, I want to hear about that. I like, Scott is, we're going to talk about that next time we talk. Scott
All right.
Jennings. Give
Sounds
it to him. Let him know.
Oh,
So,
I will let him know. All right. So great to see you. Thanks everybody for joining, and happy Taco Tuesday. Bye.
thanks. Appreciate it,
Bye.
Julie. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Please like and subscribe. It definitely helps me out. And if you want to see my face again, well, you kind of have to do it. Keep the faith, defend democracy, and I'll see you later.